In this video, we're going to be talking about rounding decimals. If you haven't gotten to the placeholder values, this is not going to make any sense. I do have a video on decimal placeholder values and how to read decimals, that sort of thing. So go back, review that a little bit, and then come to this, because I'm going to say tenths, you're going to be like, what is that? So I'll kind of explain as I move through, but having practice just on that aspect is kind of helpful. All right, let's pick a number here. Let's pick an easy number, or an easy-er. Let's talk about er. So 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we want to go ahead and we wanted to round this to the tenths spot. So what I would recommend doing is take a mental picture of what the tenths is, or mark it somehow. So I can just draw a little line under the 4 and say, okay, that's the thing that's going to change or not change. Then I look immediately to its right. Only the 6 matters. The 7 and 8 aren't even in this conversation. They're off doing their own thing. So find that placeholder, mark it. Step 3. Look at the digit immediately to its right, and then make your decision based on that. This is a 6, so it follows the second rule. We want to go from 5 to 9, so I'm going to raise step 2's digit by 1. So I'm going to raise that 4 to a 5, 0.5. And then if you notice step 4, all of the other digits to the right, yeah, they're gone. They all turn to zeros, but they're gone. We don't care about them. They're just not important. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. You know, digits have feelings too. Yeah, they do. Anywho, for all you biology geeks out there. Anywho, we want to go to the hundredths. Now, it's not going to be that easy for me to erase because that would be too easy. So I'll just kind of erase this. Just kind of erase this. I could have layered them, I suppose, just made my life easy, but yeah, I didn't. All right, so I am going to take a look at the next one, and that's going to be the 6. That's the one I'm going to round to. So I need to round either down to 6 or up to 7. And to do that, I take a look at the one immediately to its right, and I see that it's 5 to 9. So I round the 6 up to 7. Now, you keep everything else to that digit. But then you round that digit, everything to the right of it goes away. Careful on your right, left. Everything to the right, everything lower than that goes away. We don't really want to eliminate the other stuff. That would be cool sometimes, but it's not correct. All right, so final one here. And then I'm just going to kind of move through the next example. The final one here is we want to go to this one right here, the 7. This is the thousandths place. So we look at the 10,000ths and we ask ourselves the same exact questions. Is this higher or between 5 and 9 or 0 to 4? And it's between 5 and 9. So I just go ahead and I round that 7 to an 8. All of the other stuff up to that point come through. And then anything off to the right just goes away. It becomes a 0. And again, I should reiterate, it's going to feel like it sometimes, but there's nothing in math that I've come across that goes and disappears. David Copperfield doesn't math. He doesn't make stuff magically disappear. It'll feel like that sometimes, but it's not what's really happening. So what has been happening here is I've been changing, in my mind, I've been changing this to 0.5000, 0.4700, and then 0.4680. But the zeros on the end, when you're talking about decimals, don't carry any inherent value. So you can completely eliminate them from the number, and it does not change the value of the number. Don't try that with $1 million because you'll get $1 and well, let's face it, nobody's happy at that point. So, all right, another example. One that's probably perhaps a little more difficult because it doesn't feel right. So we are going to start with 9, and then 9, and then 9, and then 5. And we're going to go through all of these. you'll start to see a pattern, hopefully. So I'm going to round to the first one. I look over here and I say, okay, well, that's a 9, so I round this 9, the first digit 9, to up. Well, if I round that up, it becomes a 10. We can't have a 10 in a digits spot when we're talking about the decimal system. So we end up carrying the 1 over. That's going to give us 1 point, and then all the rest would be zeros. It's a matter of argument whether or not you would need to include this point 1 or point 0. I would say, as a general rule, wherever you are rounding to, include zeros up to that point. So if I'm calling this to the tenths, then I want to call it 1.0. Not necessarily 1.0000 or 1, but 1.0 to say I have rounded to the tenths. When you hit the sciences, this is going to come across as something slightly different, called a significant figure. It takes on a different meaning. It depends exactly on how you're using this. But by and large, I would say if you're going to round somewhere, then round down to that, or round up to that point, or round down to that point, and keep zeros where they belong. So now, if I were to continue on this process, I would go ahead and I would have this 9 here, and then I would check this other 9. Okay, well, this 9 is 5 to 9, so I round up, which changes this 9 to a 10, but it can't be 10, so I carry the 1, which changes this 9 to a 10, but I can't have a 10, so I carry the 1 again, and I end up with this. Well, that's weird. So, my apologies if those flashed up on the video. I allowed my hand to get a little bit lazy. Same idea. We're going to do this again. I have this 9 here. Well, that looks way too green. Let's do red. I have this 9 here. And I would look at the 5, and the 5 says round up, so I round this 9 to a 10, which I can't, so I carry the 1, so this becomes a 10, but it can't, so I carry the 1. This becomes a 10, so I can't, and then I carry the 1. So this becomes 1.000. Ew. Keep in mind, it is possible that you round the same number to different spots, and it doesn't matter. You're just going to get the same answer back. And that's fine. It's perfectly fine. So, anyway, I hope those examples helped. I'm going to do one quick one where we don't round up, because apparently I've been rounding up this whole time. Let's try purple, but dark purple. 1.823. All right. So I'm looking at the 8, then I compare that with the decimal, or with the placeholder right next to it, and that digit is a 2. Between 0 and 4, I don't do anything. I just keep that digit. So this is going to be a 1.8. Wow, that is a terrible 8. There we go. 1.8. Then if I go to hundredths, I repeat the process. I'm looking at the 2, but then I'm comparing it with the 3. So 3 is between 0 and 4. So therefore the 2 stays. This becomes 1.82. And then it says round to the thousandths. Well, I only have thousandths. That's as far as it goes. So what's next? A 0. And a 0 stays put. So that would be our thousandths. Keep all of these things in mind. I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt first few times you do it. And then you start getting good at it, but you got to know your placeholders. I hope this helps. Take care.